The following is an exclusive presentation of Jessup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
And good morning to you. You're listening to the Big Dog, WIFO FM in Jessup, 105.5 on your FM dial. Butch Hubbard here with you on this Monday morning, 1 minute after 8 o'clock. It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South, just past McDonald's on the left, and by Murphy Builder Supply, where the builders buy, located on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jessup. And good morning, Bob. How you doing?
I'm good. Good morning.
Okay. Well, we got, who do we have on the phone this morning?
We got two guests today. We got Stephen Meeks first, and then Rindy Trapnell is going to call in about 8:15 and talk about the food service program. But we got Stephen first, Mondays with Meeks. Stephen, appreciate you calling in.
Good morning. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank y'all, and appreciate the time just to call in and say hello. And I don't have a lot of new information today. Obviously, the governor's executive order went into effect on Friday at 6 o'clock. But just want to say, thanks to the great work that our healthcare professionals continue to do as we go through these trying times. As they're working through the medical aspect of this, and as well as our local leaders who are helping to provide guidance and enforcing orders to help ensure the safety and the best health of our citizens. So thank you to those. I know you got Dr. Rindy Trapnell calling in here shortly, and the work that she's doing and her team, very dedicated team to helping to make sure our kids continue to get fed during this time. In the absence of school meals. So thanks to her and the great work they're doing. Just a couple of things that I'd like to reiterate. While we are social distancing, the census does continue. I would encourage listeners to go online at census.ga.gov and fill out the census to make sure we do get everyone counted in Georgia. Again, very difficult time to do that, but it does continue. And that's probably the best way to do it online to ensure that we continue with the social distancing that's being mandated. I know that the state is working very hard and very closely with local leaders across our state. They've opened up additional bed space in Albany, Georgia, Daugherty County, which has become a hot spot for the COVID-19 virus, as well as in the Snellville area, up in, around Atlanta. So as they continue to work to provide additional bed space if needed, there's a lot of work being done at the state level. The governor's office and his task force are working very diligently to help provide the best guidance and the authority needed to enforce the ordinances that are out there. So a lot of things that are happening, and again, trying times, and just encourage listeners to follow the guidance that's been laid out by the CDC and reinforced by state officials during this time.
Stephen, everybody's armchair quarterbacking, in the country and the state. The governor was, for some time, he didn't want to lock down the state altogether, but he finally did so on Friday. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's the thing that the governor was trying to work through and ensure is how do we handle it the best way. We're impacting the daily lives of millions of Georgians through all decisions that are made, and whether that be at the local level or at the state level. And then he wanted to make sure, I believe, that he was doing it in the right way with instituting the CDC guidelines for social distancing. Crowds larger than 10 were prohibited. And when we saw that those were not making as great a strides with those conditions as he was enforcing and recommending, that we decided, okay, we need to do something a little differently. We had local leaders around the state doing great work in their communities and enforcing ordinances. And there may have been some confusion and some piecemealing, so to speak, as local leaders worked through their ways to deal with it in their communities. And I think he was trying to provide some guidance at a state level so it would be a little more uniform across our state. But that certainly wasn't where we wanted to go, I think, at the onset of this, but to provide some guidance for our citizens in our state.
You want to weigh in on the beach controversy? He's taking a lot of heat on that. Tybee and St. Simons, they shut it down, but then the governor's order opened it back up. But from the aerial photos, it doesn't look like anybody's abusing that. So your thoughts on that?
From what I've gathered, exactly what you had mentioned, local ordinances were actually the ones that closed beaches. That wasn't anything that was done at a state level because the state executive order and the governor's order will supersede any local ordinances by virtue of it not specifically being mentioned it was open or the beaches were open. I think Jekyll remains closed. That was done by the Jekyll Island Authority. The way that I view it is it gives their local citizens somewhere to go to get out, exercise, to get out and get a breath of fresh air. Beach gear continues to be prohibited. Crowds are prohibited even on the beach. And although there is a fear that college students may show up en masse, I do believe that the governor and the state is providing tremendous resources to ensure that the executive order is enforced even on the beaches. So, again, I would encourage listeners, please don't congregate there. I mean, folks are going to exercise and go for a walk. It seems to be that generally what's happening. DNR is also engaged in enforcing that on the coast, Georgia State Patrol, and others. So, I think it's one of those situations where it provides locals a place to go, get a fresh air, exercise, do what they would like to do on an evening walk, I guess. But still continues to prohibit the large gatherings on Georgia's beaches.
As you mentioned, Rindy's going to call in and talk about this food service program. You're a farmer. How's the farming industry doing during this time?
Well, it's when you look at the big overarching picture, things are tough right now. Maybe markets are down. Obviously because a lot of your typical customers across the spectrum from cotton to others aren't purchasing as much as they normally would. But we continue to work day in and day out. The vegetable growers continue to work. Blueberries is coming in season. They're worried about their markets because a lot of closures of restaurants, etc. But the agricultural sector of our economy continues to operate to continue to provide that safe, affordable, abundant food supply that we are accustomed to. And I know that at times that we do get into grocery stores, we see shelves that are empty, and it makes me reflect back, okay, this is where we could be, without an agriculture industry that is very viable that we have here in our state and our country. So it makes me, be very thankful for those that continue to produce the food and fiber for our country and our state. But we continue to work. The suppliers and the grocery manufacturers ensure us that we're good on supplies right now. I haven't heard of any shortages of any kind. I know that retailers are beginning to close a little bit earlier just so they can restock shelves overnight and have them ready for the opening of the next morning. But we continue to have ample supply at this time.
Again, if you're just joining us, Stephen Meeks on the phone with us, Mondays with Meeks. Again, you're a legislator for us, one of the state leaders. Before we let you go, just reemphasize the message that people need to adhere to over this next 10 days for sure, while the governor has the lockdown up to the 13th of April.
Just continue to observe what the governor has put out in the state. This is a very trying time. It's probably going to try the patience of a lot of citizens in the state for being on lockdown and staying home. And if you are exhibiting symptoms, call your doctor, call the COVID-19 hotline so that they can give you guidance on where to go, where to be tested. Continue to practice social distancing. Groups larger than 10 are continue to be prohibited. Wash your hands, and stay safe. And as we continue to work through this, if there are clarifications, questions, or concerns, please call us and let us know. Myself, Senator Tillery, and Chairman Werkheiser continue to field calls, whether it be a need for PPEs for a facility or whatever that case may be. We continue to get those calls, and we're helping to facilitate that as need be. But we're going to get through this, and it's going to take all of us individually doing what we're being asked to do by our state and national leaders to get past this. But as things pop up and questions or concerns are out there, give us a call. We're happy to relay those messages. There last week, Saturday, as the governor's executive order was going into effect, we had calls from retailers because there was a mention of pen pads or credit card processing machines within retailers and their prohibition of not being able to use those for some customers. And we spent the weekend trying to get some clarification on that. So, please observe and adhere to the guidelines that are put out. Adhere to the governor's executive order, and if you're encountered by local law enforcement or others asking questions, know that this is a trying time for everybody, and we're going to get through it together.
Okay, Stephen. Again, we appreciate you being here Mondays with Meeks. Appreciate you calling in, and stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Y'all as well. Thanks for all you do for our community.
All right. Take care, Stephen. All right. WIFO FM in Jessup, 105.5 in your FM dial, Big Dog Country Radio, world-famous Butch and Bob Show for this Monday morning. And we got another call coming in a moment, right?
Rindy Trapnell should be calling in shortly and talk about this food service program that the school system's providing. But again, a reminder, this week, with it being the original spring break, they're not doing it this week. They're going to resume next week. So I just want to make sure people understand that they're not going to be there this Tuesday and Thursday. But again, it's a very important program, and she'll be calling in shortly with the information on what's taking place here in Wayne County.
Okay. I do want to tell folks that if you're out there driving this morning, that please drive carefully. There's some dense fog out there. We are in a dense fog warning this morning until mid-morning till it all burns off. Otherwise, mostly sunny today, high today of 84. But make sure you have those headlights on low beam because did go through some patches of dense fog this morning. Well, we had our first reported case of someone testing positive over the weekend here in Wayne County, didn't we?
I understand that person is being quarantined, though, so, hopefully they're following the guidelines. But, Georgia Department of Public Health confirmed one case so far in Wayne County. But,
I'm really surprised we went this long because all the counties around us had it, and we were the last one just pretty much in this area. I think there's only about 7 or 8 counties left in the state that don't have a reported case. Right. I was looking at that map trying to count the white ones, which is the ones who didn't have it, and I counted 8, but we could be at 7 now by this morning. But one case after all this time here in Wayne County, and as you mentioned, the person is quarantined, doing what they should do, and hopefully the cases will stay low here in Wayne County.
Let's hope. That's all you can hope for. They say the social distancing seems to be working, and most people have been doing that the last couple of weeks, so just got to continue to follow the guidelines, do what you're asked to do. Everybody's got a part in this, and hopefully everybody will do what they're supposed to be doing.
And that's the thing about it is I know that the governor got some criticism for opening up the beaches, but if people do what they're supposed to, and that's the thing is, you put out voluntary, in a sense, guidelines and then mandatory guidelines when people don't follow those. And if people just walk on the beach and then get off for a nice relaxing walk, then that's great. All right.
Rindy.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Mr. Rindy, you with us?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Again, this is Rindy Trapnell, food service provider. I'm not sure what your title is, but I apologize for that. But I know you got an important title at the school system, but you're in charge of providing the food for kids in Wayne County, and it's an important program. But right now, I just want to emphasize spring break. They're not doing it this week. Is that correct?
That is correct. We were scheduled to be off as we originally were.
But
Give us a break and to get food restocked. We're getting food deliveries in and getting ready to gear up for next Tuesday.
Well, from all reports, it's been a very effective and very much needed program. I understand that the people are really taking advantage of this.
Absolutely. I did some tallying last night while I was getting ready for this morning, and we did 65,830 breakfasts and 65,830 lunches since we've been out in 6 times. So in 6 hours, we definitely put out some meals.
Man, that's a lot of meals.
131,661 meals.
And this is a drive-through service. Is that correct, Rindy? Is that what's happening?
Absolutely. It's drive-through. We're at all 8 schools in front of the school. Boys and Girls Club, Karate, Turning Point, and the Board of Education. at all those sites, and it is literally like a drive-through. You drive through, they say how many students they have in their home, and we give them bags with breakfast and lunch.
And another thing we want to emphasize, this is a federally funded program. Is that correct?
It's federally funded, exactly.
Right.
All federally funded.
Right.
And we qualify because we do the summer feeding program, and so it is really like a continuation of the single summer program.
And from what I understand, when they drive through, they get more than just one meal, right? They get meals to last them a couple of days. Is that correct?
Right. On Tuesday, we do 2 breakfasts and 2 lunch, and on Wednesday, we do 3 breakfasts and 3 lunch.
Well, there must be a lot of people working on this. I mean, what kind of staff?
Absolutely. I cannot say thanks enough. All of my staff showed up. I mean, I was just amazed at the outpouring of our staff that just shows up, and they do what they know to do. And all of the volunteers, I can't say enough things about the volunteers. We've had care pros, teachers, principals, school board members. You know, we have had people, I mean, the community's just been overwhelming as a volunteer and coming out and helping. And we couldn't do it without them. I mean, because it is a big task to do within a matter of an hour.
And go ahead and give us the dates and times again when it does pick back up next week.
Okay, we'll resume next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 to 11:30 are the pickup times. And we'll continue that until we're instructed something different.
All right. So I would imagine it would go until at least the end of the school year. Is that correct? Or
I'm assuming that I'm looking forward to that's what we'll be doing.
All right. And the summer feeding programs, they already have that in place, right? So it should continue as well, I would assume.
It will, and I don't know. I think it'll probably look a little different because typically when we do summer feeding, students have to eat the meal on site. And so we'll kind of be looking for federal guidelines to tell us what to do with that.
All right. And, of course, people ask the question, no one's abusing this program, or you haven't seen anybody doing that, have you?
I really haven't. I mean, people have been so nice and patient, and, like, we ran out several locations, and we're like, could you give us, 15 minutes, we'll make more. And people are, I've been amazed at how great people have been. And we've had people that come and pick up meals to give to other people that can't get out. Because, that's a concern. A lot of people are doing, mobile routes and doing different things, and we opted not to do that at this point. But we've had churches and other teachers and people who, are helping distribute this to people that can't get out. So thank you for what you're doing.
As you mentioned, there's probably so many stories out there that, like churches and civic groups helping out. So, it would take a long time to thank everybody.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody who's pitching in.
Yes, I'm just overwhelmed at the support we've had.
Could you imagine, Rindy, the number of students, kids out there that would probably have some, hungry stomachs if it wasn't for this program?
Absolutely. And they're so thankful to get it. That's what makes you feel so good. When you're standing there handing out those meals, you know you're there for a reason.
That's true.
It's definitely a program that's needed, and again, just hats off to you and your staff and all the people that are pitching in to make sure this program continues. But we did want to emphasize this is normal spring break for Wayne County, so they're not doing it this week. But as you mentioned, this gives you time to replenish your supplies and your staff and things like that.
Absolutely. And we'll be getting supplies in this week, so we'll be geared up and ready to go again next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Well, again, we appreciate
and thank you.
No, we appreciate
Thank
you
so much
calling
for
in.
advertising for us. I really do appreciate it.
Well, like I said, it's an important program, and we just want to make sure people know the sites. Go over the sites again. It's all schools, right?
It's
all the schools?
All eight schools. Turning Point, Karate, Boys and Girls Club, and the Board of Education.
Okay. Sounds good. And it's every Tuesday and Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30.
That's correct.
Sounds good. Again, we appreciate you taking time. Again, how are you doing as far as...
Doing great. Getting a lot of yard work done. It's been nice to be home.
There you go.
And a lot of home cooking, so it's been good.
Okay, Rindy. Well, again, if you need to get any other information out to us, just let us know. We appreciate you. And like I said, hats off to you and your staff and all the people volunteering to help out with this important program.
Y'all too, and I sure do appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. Y'all stay safe.
All right, take care, Rindy. All right, bye-bye.
Okay.
All right, Rindy Trapnell there with the Wayne County School Services. Bob, that's a lot of meals they've given out in those couple of weeks here.
Program, but I can't imagine having to organize that and get it all. But they do a great job. So just hats off to her and her staff, and again all the volunteers and all the churches and civic organizations are helping out as well. But it's a very important program. If you've ever been to one of those sites, and if
I've never been to a site.
I mean,
but
like
you
said,
can just hear it when they come on and talk about it, about how much it is needed and how many students do show up.
And they're very appreciative of the program too. So that's what Rindy just emphasized that. These people come by and they're just grateful to have that program in place.
Yeah, you definitely don't want hungry kids out there. And so many people depend upon that. And I'm glad they were able to have a program like this with the schools closed down, which, we know they will be closed down through the end of the school year.
That's correct.
Yeah. Are they doing any online teaching, or is anything going on teaching-wise or instruction-wise at all?
I don't believe so.
You don't think so? I didn't know. I didn't know if they were trying to do something like that or try to get something in place, but I guess the logistics are just not there. And since you can't train them in the school like they were going to try to do for that week, it just didn't work out.
Everything shut down to the end of the school year.
And I guess through state mandates, and that the students will have the credit up through March to be able to graduate and to go to the next class, like from first to second grade, and right on and get diplomas and stuff like that, even though you didn't get almost 2.5 months, almost 3 months worth of instruction.
I assume that's what they're doing.
Wow.
Georgia High School Association, like I said, got a lot of requests for colleges are giving extra year of eligibility, and people are asking the GHSA if their senior kid could get an extra year eligibility, and they already made that announcement, and that's an emphatic no. There's no extra year of eligibility for a high school student.
There is not?
No, none.
So if you didn't play baseball this spring, you can't play it next spring, huh?
Not as a senior.
Not as a senior.
No, seniors move on to the graduation and move on to.
Yeah, but who would want to stay in high school for another year just to play?
Well, a lot of people, yeah. A lot of college people do, so a lot of high school
now, in
people
college, I can understand that, but in high school, that's a whole different ballgame.
I'm just telling you.
I'm going to go another year.
Talking to the Georgia High School Association people this weekend, they got bombarded with requests to have an extra year.
They?
Yeah, people want an extra year of eligibility because they felt that they lost their senior year of athletics. So, but the GHSA says that's not happening, that you don't get an extra year of eligibility, that you move on to graduate your class and move on to the next level. But they did get bombarded with requests.
All right, someone just texted in that online teaching begins next week. Students without internet can have parents pick up school packets. I don't know who texted this in right here. It's some person who's responded to different things that we've talked to about the schools. But it says online teaching begins next week. Students without internet can have parents pick up school packets.
It looks like that from the superintendent.
I don't know.
If that's accurate.
That's off to the Touchdown Club. We got somebody who talked about the Touchdown Club. Someone talked about the GHSA should have the guts to make a statewide decision. That was way back in March. So their last comment from this person was back in March. But it says online teaching begins next week. Students without internet can have parents pick up school packets. Is that true? That's the reason why I sent you that text last night, because I didn't know what was going to happen through the rest of the year since the governor said no more school the rest of the year. At that time, we were going to try to go back to school, but since he said that, there was no school through the end of May, and so I didn't know what was going to happen from an instruction standpoint, because there was always that optimism that we may go back, the week after Easter or the week after spring break or whatever the case may be. And so we'll find out about that and see what the latest information on that is, and of course no prom, no graduation ceremonies, none of that. You just hate to be the class of 2020 in high schools and colleges throughout the country not having that ceremony that you can have the memories and the pictures and to be there and to enjoy it, and the family watching you and so forth. So you got to feel for these graduating seniors from high school and colleges and throughout the state. You're listening to WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessa, Big Dog Country Radio, and
the superintendent says that online teaching does begin next week.
Okay, yeah,
I did say that.
All right. Well, I was wondering about that.
Says they'll get us the details.
All right. Okay, well, sounds good. Online teaching will begin next week for the Wayne County schools. Students without internet can have parents pick up school packets. So the students can get some good learning in here the last 6 weeks of school. Okay, so it'll be 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not sure, I don't know when school year was supposed to end, but probably starting next week will be the 13th. That will probably be about 5 or 6 weeks of teaching again next week, online teaching for the Wayne County schools. And if you don't have internet, you can pick up the school packets there at the school, at the different schools.
And I don't think any decision's been made on graduation yet. I mean, that's still a day-to-day situation.
Is that still a day-to-day? They may or may not have that in May?
They've not made any definite decision on that. They'll make that decision when they come back after the end of the month.
Okay.
They can't make any decisions. Like I said, the president, the governor, everything supersedes local officials' decisions.
Right.
So everything's out of their hands at the end of the month.
Well,
once the end of the month is over with, then they'll go from there. But nobody knows what the timetable of this virus is going to be.
No.
Everybody's just...
all we know is the fact there's not going to be any more schools open for the rest of the school year.
That's all we know.
That's all we know from that standpoint. And then as we see what things happen, maybe the first or second week in May, perhaps maybe things will be good enough where you can have a few thousand people get together for a graduation ceremony. We don't know. But we do know that in Wayne County, that online teaching begins next week. Students without internet can have parents pick up school packets at the schools that they go to. And it'll be interesting to see how that online teaching goes and how that works. So at least the students will stay active from a learning standpoint and being taught by their teachers for the last few weeks of the school year here in Wayne County. I'm not sure exactly what the other counties around us are doing, but here in Wayne County, that's what's going to be taking place.
And like I said, I just got a text again from Superintendent Brinson, again, correct, end of the month on graduation, all other events. Decision will be made at the end of the month.
The end of the month. Okay, good. All right. Hopefully they'll be able to do it. You know, you keep hearing all these experts of the CDC and the state on the state level that, you know, they don't see anybody getting together for a long time into the summer, but you never can tell, Bob. You just never can tell. Hopefully with the things that are set in place right now statewide, that the curve will start going down next week.
I just got this from Stephen Meeks. This says to help with messaging, I provided an overview of the 2020 AP exam changes to accommodate at-home digital testing, as well as examples of Twitter and Facebook posts. Feel free to share the committee members, colleagues, constituents, friends, and family. AP students can still take this year's exams, even though schools are closed. AP exams will be offered at home digital test. The exam content will focus only on what most schools were able to complete by early March. Students will be able to take their exams on any device they have access to, computer, tablet, or smartphone. They also have the option to write their responses by hand and submit a photo. In addition, College Board has free online review AP courses available via YouTube and is helping to solve connectively and device access for students form. More AP details and upcoming announcements are available on this website. It's AP Coronavirus Updates .collegeboard.org. So I'll say that again. AP Coronavirus, spelled all the way out, updates. That's all one word. AP Coronavirus Updates .collegeboard, all one word, .org. So again, that from Stephen Meeks, who sent that in. So again, I'll repeat it. It says AP students can still take this year's exams, even though schools are closed. AP exams will be offered as at-home digital tests. The exam content will focus only on what most schools were able to complete by early March. Students will be able to take their exams on any device they have access to, a computer, tablet, or smartphone. They'll also have the option to write their responses by hand and submit a photo. In addition, College Board has free online review AP courses available via YouTube. It's helping to solve connectively and device access for students' forms. More AP details and upcoming announcements are available. Get on that website, AP Coronavirus Updates. .collegeboard.org. So, again, we'll get more details from the superintendent on the online, but he says those begin next week.
All right. Well, there's the update. Appreciate it, Bob. All right, it's 8:30. Anything else on your mind this morning, Bob?
Nope.
All right. Have a good day. Be safe. Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jessup. Big Dog Country Radio, world famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, where the builders buy. Hey, you got a lot of time around the home right now. Head on down to Murphy's, and they'll help you pick out just the items you need for those home projects and home repairs.
The world famous Butch and Bob Show.